Okay, thank you everyone. Thanks for waiting for us. And obviously this is the last session of the day, so hopefully we've saved the best for last. So we're going to be touching on the impact of women's leadership in transformation projects this afternoon. And I'm joined by four wonderful women who have been leading transformation projects, and we'll be hearing of some of the successes, but also some of the challenges that have been faced throughout that. So maybe, Nora, we can start off with you in terms of course, many people here are just starting out on that transformation journey. What would you say are the key elements from a leadership perspective needed to ensure a successful programme?
First of all, I would like to say a big thank you that we can be here and talk about this really important topic. I believe that I can speak on behalf of every panelist and you as well, Sean. During a transformation journey, people tend to look for leaders who can make hard decisions in a human way. And ideally, the two features you can find in one individual and not in two different ones. I'm not kidding. This was a kind of experience from my side when there was a wow experience. Okay, we have, let's call him John, who can make hard decisions, and here we have another Julia who can make it in a human way. So two in one. But what does that mean in practice? That normally you have the question and the answer on the why. So why we are doing the transformation journey? What is the target? What is the end purpose of this journey? And you might have a mainstream about how to get there and what we need to do in order to get to that target. But most cases, it's better to engage your people whom you need during this transformation journey. Let it be your team, so explaining them first of all, communicate with them as much as possible about the why we are doing that. So let's get their buy-in for that journey. And the how and the what, we can elaborate with them together. So that might be an important step for everyone, at least according to my experiences during the transformation journeys that I was active part of. This was my understanding. Also, early involvement of the stakeholders during the journey. Let them be internal or external. Big decision makers, important decision makers, you need to sit together with them at an early stage. And let's do it instead of aligning, talking about that. Because if you do it, you can fail at an early stage and you can quick fix it as soon as possible. Of course, this will require a non-blaming environment. And this is really a tricky thing and a challenging thing for most of the companies.
Yeah. Thanks, Nora. That's really interesting insights. And Oliver, of course, you've just been embarking on a transformation project and just recently going live. So I'm sure there's some insights you can give us from your recent experiences.
Yeah, that's right. So we are busy with a transformation journey right now, from basically driving allocation, replenishment, forecasting project, which has gone the way transformation projects do. But in terms of some of my insights on this, I think very much aligned with you, Nora, in terms of some of what you've said here. I think the first point is definitely there has to be willingness to embark on the journey, and also resilience to see it through, because it's not necessarily smooth sailing all along. So you do definitely have to have the resilience to be able to get through the tougher times. I think another important element is also being very clear on what the priorities are, because it's likely that you're going to have to make trade-offs at some point, and being clear on the priorities makes it easier, let me say, to be able to do that. Another aspect is being a very strong champion and supporter of your team. These are the people that are actually delivering the change, making sure that you're creating an enabling environment for them to do that, for them to be able to perform, and for them to be able to test and innovate and do all of those cycles. I would also add making sure that you are very clear on the vision. Why are we doing this? What is our North Star, right? And making sure that that is very clear. It's another aspect that will make sure that you're able to drive through the tougher times, getting the team to rally behind something that just kind of brings everybody together. And the last piece I would add to this is definitely agility, flexibility, being able to pivot. I like the concept of fail fast, which is this whole idea of when you do fail, first of all, allowing the space for the failure to happen. That's part of learning. But also, it's the quick recovery. It's the not staying in the failure. It's being able to understand the learning points, taking that, building that into your process, and being able to move forward.
And building upon those points that Oliver made there, Nina, I know that you feel very strongly about having diversity within the team. So what would you say that makes female leaders different, and how have you empowered your teams when you've been going through the transformation projects?
I think the word, if I reflect on the content that we've all shared with each other here today, the word innovation has come up a lot. Those who haven't called out innovation have called out transformation. They're parts of the same equation, I would argue. And to get to transformation, you have to have an innovation mindset. The technology industry actually only, and I quote Satya Nadella, our CEO, he says, our technology industry only respects innovation, never tradition. And so if you think of kind of the very nature of supply chains, the safety has come from having a good, solid, robust system, tried and true. And there's this imperative on everybody to transform now, and that can be very, very stressful. We know in tech that the only way we can get to innovation is by having diverse teams. It's not only gender equal teams, but I am super proud to work for a company, and we're only 1 in 10 companies on the planet, 10% of the world's companies, Deloitte just gave out a study on this, actually have a female workforce that feels that their company is walking the talk on gender parity. 10%, so we have a long way to go. And so the only way we can get to innovation and to the pace of innovation in technology is by having diverse teams. And we hire for diversity. More than anything, we know that we can't, if everybody looks the same in the room and everybody thinks the same, has gone to the same school and has learned the same things, we will not get the innovation that we need. And we won't be able to fulfill our mission to empower everybody to use this technological wonder.
Thank you, Nina. And Lisa, maybe we can build upon that with some of your experiences that you've had as well in terms of the diversity within the team and how you've seen that play out.
Yeah, of course. So as with all of us, I'm sure I've worked with a lot of amazing leaders and probably some not so amazing leaders. And they've been both men and women. So I don't think you're an amazing leader because of your gender. You're an amazing leader because you inspire your team and you've got credibility with them. So one of the things in my career, though, is that I've spent most of my time working in very heavily male-dominated environments. In fact, the program that I'm working on at the moment is the first time we've actually had more of a gender split, which is refreshing and lovely to see. But in a very male-dominated environment, that's when I first got my opportunity to kind of step up to a leadership role. And I looked around me, and I probably didn't really have that female leader that I could look to and really draw inspiration from. What I was doing was drawing inspiration from everyone else that was around me. But what I realized is that I was trying to become the leader that I thought I had to be based on what I saw around me, rather than authentically the leader that was me. I think the light bulb moment for me came in when I tapped into what am I great at, what's made me so successful so far, and then how can I apply those skills to my leadership role. So I am endlessly positive. If you meet anyone in Marks & Spencer who knows me, they will tell you that the first thing is that I will find positivity in any situation, regardless of how challenging it is. And I feel like you need that when you're on transformation journeys, as obviously has already been alluded to. I'm great with stakeholders, I'm great at building a team, I'm great at building consensus, but I'm also able to cut through. So I tapped into the things that made me great and how I could build credibility with my team by being authentically me and being the best leader leader I could be. And then that's now what I do for my teams. So in terms of how I inspire them, I look at what made me kind of inspirational as a leader, and then I try and spend my time getting to know the team, understanding what makes them amazing, and then being able to build that team of fantastic individuals that need to be able to work together in order to achieve common goals.
Excellent. And Nora, I know that you've been involved in initiatives in terms of women empowerment, and maybe you can tell us a little about some of those initiatives that you've been involved in.
Absolutely. So it was called as FemNet, or it is called as FemNet because it's still an evolving and really growing initiative. FemNet stands for Female Networking. It was not because of we were fighting for equality or something like that, but the idea came from a very shocking statistics within telecom. In supply chain management globally, 2 years ago, we posted 33 team lead positions. And we got 185 applications. Out of the 185, 15 came from potential female leaders. And together with HR, we were sitting and talking about that it's impossible. So it's not because of female leaders' potentials are less capable or less skilled. It is just about the attitude, how they think, how we think about ourselves in many cases. That, you know, and I was really talking physically in a tangible way with both male and female colleagues. And a guy said to me, a male guy said to me that, yeah, you know, that I was 100% sure that I was only 65-70% fitting with the requirements, but I gave it a try. And it worked for him. While the female applicant, whom I knew quite nicely that she would have been a good candidate, she said that, well, I didn't think that I was over 100%, so it was better for me not to apply. So that's the attitude thing that we need to educate. We need to be there for our female talents, and this is about the initiative. But you need HR for such initiative. Every case, as a functions, let it be supply chain, procurement, marketing, technology, anything, you cannot do it on its own. And always you need to set up a deadline, 6 months a period, involving 20 colleagues, potentials, and have a clear coaching, mentoring, sponsorship, whatever they will require in order to get to their next career step.
Definitely. I think it's so important to do that, to bring through that female leadership and bring them into the roles and make sure that they are empowered. So, Oliver, maybe if we move on to a broader topic now in terms of some of the main challenges that you've faced. You know, often in these transformation projects, there can be conflict and difference of opinion. And how do you think, how have you found it's best to handle that when that happens within a project?
Yeah, I think it's a great question because definitely you don't have a transformation project without some level of conflict. I think just the nature of a project kind of brings these things out. In terms of some of the challenges, I think there's the usual ones, technology design, budget, running out of budget, different approaches in terms of how you want to run a project, whether agile or traditional approach. But the one that I really want to focus on now is basically the people challenge, because I feel that all of the other challenges can be overcome if you've got a really strong team. And for me, the people challenge is really around how to manage the different personalities in a team, how to make sure that you're actually creating an environment where there is space for useful discourse, right? People are able to challenge each other, people are able to question, people are able to have differences of opinion, but in a productive way, right? And I think underlying that as well, being able to make collaborative decisions as a team, taking all of the different individuals' perspectives into account, but also being able to get to a point where if we're finding that we cannot agree, that we're able to disagree and commit, because I think that forward momentum is really important. So that's the one side. The other side, which I alluded to in the beginning of the first answer, is around just managing triple constraint, the general project management stuff. So triple constraint of budget, cost, and time. And these, you invariably end up in a situation where you have to kind of find a way to balance these things out. And I think for me, what's really important here is having a very strong stakeholder relationship, making sure that you establish honesty and trust in the beginning. And being very upfront about what you can do versus what you can't do. And again, just alluding to what I said previously on being very clear on priorities so that you understand what trade-offs are possible while still meeting the objective of the project. So these are some of the challenges that I would call out.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And Lisa, and to continue on that vein, and so I know, like Oliver mentioned there, the things in terms of having that healthy conflict is something that you also think is very relevant within the project so that we can bring out those pieces, and also executive sponsorship with it in the project so that we can ensure that we're overcoming some of those challenges.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I always say there's a big difference between a difference of opinion and conflict. And I say to my teams all the time, if we don't have difference of opinion, then we're not doing our jobs properly, because you need that diversity, that healthy tension that then means that you get the best outcome. I love a good debate. So if I go into a meeting and everyone's of the same opinion, I'm always a bit disappointed when I leave, quite frankly. But I do think, like I say, there's a big difference between a healthy debate and then something that then spills over into conflict. Really, really similar in my experience. A lot of the reasons why you end up being in a position in a big transformation program where you do have conflict comes down to the fact that you've not invested the time up front, particularly in the early stages of any transformation program, to build that one team mentality, whether that's between the business and technology, which is probably my most hated phrase. People who label everyone as business and tech. You're one team when you join a program like this, so therefore you need to make sure that that's how you're all acting, or whether that's with third parties as well. I think the most important thing you can do in the early stages of any transformation program is to invest that time, make sure that everyone is really clear on their roles and responsibilities, what their accountability is, what we do, how we build that social contract together, and how we have common objectives and vision, like's already been discussed as well. And then when you do then find yourself coming up against differences of opinion that could be leading a little bit more to conflict, you're much better prepared with good tools and an understanding of how to then deal with that together. And then, of course, I think what's really, really important is senior sponsorship. We've spoken about this already in many of the panels today. I think that it's absolutely vital to make sure you've got that buy-in from the top down. I've spent my career delivering big change programs, and the ones that have been really, probably not the ones that we've done the best job in the project team in, but the ones that have landed the most successful have been the ones that have had that top-down buy-in, and it's the whole way through. It's not just standing in a meeting and saying, fantastic, we really believe in this. It's really demonstrating that when you walk outside of the room and you're still then exhibiting those behaviours in every subsequent meeting that, that you go through. That's how you try and avoid conflict. But of course, when it does occur, have the tools in place, and then it's much easier to navigate.
Excellent. No, I think they're really interesting insights. But if we move on to more of the change management piece as well. So if we think about some of your tips for managing change. So Nora, if we come to you first in terms of what would be your key things that you would say are your tips for managing change and bringing everyone along on the journey.
I would start again with people. So rather invest into people than tools and solutions, or at the same time. So don't invest money, effort, time into having a fancy tool and solution before you get the engagement and the buy-in from your colleagues. They require time. They need to understand the purpose, the why we are doing this transformation journey, and gain their buy-in. This is the first one. Early involvement, as we already talked about it, is essential. And my hobby horse is to do it as soon as possible instead of, meeting on that, aligning on that one, talking about that one, blah, blah, blah. No, let's do it. Let's fail it as I already told, and then let's give us the chance to quick fix it, because in that case, you can make sure that you will have really the proper solution.
Excellent. And Nina, maybe you could add some further thoughts on the change management side.
So probably from a very high helicopter level, there's a brilliant read. Those of you who know a little bit about Microsoft know that we've transformed our company quite significantly in the last 10 years. There's an absolutely brilliant professor at Stanford University. Her name is Carol Dweck, and she's written a book called Mindset. If you haven't read it, or if you can detect that your board members, your executive board members who need to be there sponsoring these transformation projects haven't read it, gift that book to them. Ask them to plead them to read it. Because mindset is where it starts, and the transformation sponsorship that you need for any project comes from the top. It's not going to happen if you don't have that sponsorship. So read the Carol Dweck book. The second piece is your personal curiosity. We're living in a true paradigm shift in technology at the moment. And we need to be in the driving seat. We need to have both hands firmly on the steering wheel in terms of what's happening in technology and how data flows and what technology is enabling for us to be able to deliver on the promise of responsible artificial intelligence. And finally, I think all of us in the room, male or female, believe in the gender equality problem or issue or challenge or not, we all have a mother or a sister or a daughter or a niece. Practice allyship.
Thank you. Lisa, are there some further points that you would like to add into this? I know in terms of the projects that you've been involved in, of course, change management is a major thing, of course, that we need to ensure is addressed correctly within the project.
Yeah, I mean, it heartens me today that almost in every presentation we've spoken about change management. I don't know if I've ever been in a room where we've spoken about it as much, so that's very exciting. I won't talk about change, kind of the importance of change management. I won't talk about the importance of master data to support that change management, because we've kind of covered all of that today. But the bit I will touch on is, I guess, the communication and engagement within that change management plan. I think it's so important. I think often in programs you fail because you wait until the last minute to engage the people who you are obviously then going to be making the change to. And of course, it's not going to succeed if you haven't explained to them what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what it means for them. And it's that last one that's the most important. I think comms and engagement is amazingly important. I think that you can't do enough of it. I think the more that you do, the more you raise awareness, the better. But I also think when it comes to what it means for me, it's really important to then make sure that that's tailored to the individual area so that everyone is not hearing a generic message about what it means for your business. They're hearing the message of what that means for me in my function, in my role, and I really understand how I can play my part in the journey. One of the really exciting things we're doing in M&S just now, I don't think I said, I'm leading the online implementation there. So all the negative things I'm talking about obviously do not apply to this program so far. Or Santi will have something to say to me after this. But one of the things we're doing alongside the online implementation is going on a journey of optimization as well, in order to ensure that everyone is ready for the technology change even before it comes along. I've not actually seen the same buy-in in any of the programs I've led in M&S prior to this, and I've been there for 9 years now. So I'm really hopeful that this is going to be lasting, sustainable change, which is the most important part. Anyone can land change. It's more difficult to make it sustainable.
It's really exciting to hear, how excited the M&S team are about the project. So Oliver, just to finish us off, could you give us any final advice that you would give to others that are embarking on this journey or thinking of starting on it now?
Yeah, sure. I think, we've said a lot, and I think, lots of good, perspectives throughout the session, not just this panel. And the one thing that I would want to add is just don't forget to have fun. I think transformation projects are about the future. It's about visioning. It's about dreaming. It's about building legacy. You know, for me, it's always about creating something that's going to live beyond my time, potentially, right? So there's a lot of excitement in that in terms of, you know, envisaging and doing work that is taking us in that direction. So definitely don't forget to have fun. I think the other part of it is play is very closely associated to innovation, experimentation, finding novel ways to do new things. And so I think that's a very key aspect that sometimes we forget. Because transformation projects can become heavy because of the implications, because of the cost, because of conflict that might come up, etc. But I think bringing that part of the fun, the creativity, the dreaming back into it just infuses, you know, a lot of the right kind of energy to just get you through. Yeah.
I like that. Yes, you definitely need to have fun during the project as well. And Nina, any final points that you would leave the audience with?
Yeah, in the same vein as Oliva, have fun and keep learning. Our educational systems are built in I can only speak for the Western world, having grown up and lived in the Western world, are really built on a mindset of right or wrong answers. We teach our children to you either get the highest grades because you had all the right answers, or you get the wrong answer and you get a lower grade. And so we grade our children on this. And I think that there's a real case for moving to teaching children and teaching every generation after the children to ask good questions. That is what the future holds in store for us. And there's an opportunity for every single generation that's out there in a professional capacity, but also in a grandparenting capacity or a coaching or an advisor capacity to ask really good questions and grade themselves on the quality of the question rather than the right or wrong.
Amazing. I think that's a brilliant point, that we need to question more and to pull those points out. Is there anything further that you would like to add, Lisa? Any points?
Yeah, I mean, I always liken a transformation program to a roller coaster. I always say the highs are unbelievably high, so enjoy them, because the lows feel terrible. So what I would say is celebrate the little successes along the way. Normally, these journeys are really long. You know, from our perspective just now, we're talking about a multi-year journey. So we need to be able to celebrate those successes as we go, to one, keep everyone really motivated, but also to make sure that people are still engaged and having fun as well, because it's tough. But of course, that won't be the case in our one this time round, Santi, right?
No pressure.
And Nora, just to complete our circle, so what advice would you give to everyone?
Yeah, fully agree. No fun, no success. So this is number one. And the second one, I can just repeat myself: be authentic by showing up to your team and present your weaknesses and present that you are not perfect. No one is perfect. I can fail. I used to fail. I'm still failing, and I am discussing it with my team. Of course, if it is business related, nothing else is relevant to that. But sometimes, you know, it's important, by the way, to talk about personal things as well. But if you are authentic and you not only walk the talk, but show the talk as well, then it will pay off by the end of the day. Engagement, early involvement, and be authentic.
Excellent. Thank you all so much. I think that's a great discussion. Is there any questions from the audience for the team? No?
It's too late.
Yeah, it's too late.
Yeah.
Everyone's getting ready for the activities, thinking the beer tasting. Thank you then. Thank you so much, everyone.
Before we
Thank
go,
you all.
can I just...
Oh, sorry, Nina.
Can I just reiterate what Nora said at the beginning? Thank you to O9 for raising this as a topic. I think in the profession, in the supply chain, the whole value chain profession, this is very topical. And so really a huge kudos to you for making this a theme for the conference. Congratulations.
Applause to you guys. Yes.